She was pretty strong here. Well, you can only hope for the best. So she just keeps functioning as she can.
Okay, we'll just go and
Have you got
log
everything
into
sorted?
Google.
Even as a kid. Like, you said that to me, I said it was like 3. It is part of life, isn't it? It's just, it's really that patience. Now, so is it mentioned in the
You're only you just put them in print.
Follow to the next one.
This is
From glen to glen and down the mountainside, the summer's gone and all of the roses falling. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come near back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley is hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be again in the sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Daddy boy, we love you so. And when ye come and all the flowers are dying, and I am dead as dead I well may be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say I'm happy there for me, and I shall hear the softly tread above me. And on my grave will warmer, sweeter be, and ye shall bend and tell me that you love me, and I shall sleep in peace until you come to me.
is a beautiful version, Rob. That's a beautiful version. What a way to start our tribute to Jill, ladies and gentlemen. And I've got to make the observation there's more fur on blokes' chins here this afternoon than there is in Antarctica with the polar bears. Seriously. Wish I could. Welcome. Welcome to you all. I know there's Melburnians and I know there's Queenslanders. Thank you for being here. We gather today to mourn the sudden passing of Jill Ferguson. We gather to say our final farewells, and we gather to pay a loving tribute to Jill's life of 74 years. And I've got to say that from where I stand, 74 years is just not quite enough. I'm saying that we could have had, well, we could have reasonably expected many more years with Jill to gather memories and gather experiences. But in the way of the world, never goes the way we want and it's not to be. However, I say to you all, the real sadness is in Jill's passing, not in the wonder of those 74 years, and I am going to share some of those memories later on. They're pretty flash, I can tell you. Some of you will know them and some will won't. For Emma and Steve, your mum, for Caitlin and Lakota and Sam and Luke and Layla, your Nana Jill. That's right, Rob, I got that right, didn't I? Nana Jill. And it seems to me that your Nana Jill is the coolest woman in the world. Seriously. Fancy living through the swinging 60s. Just have a look at the photo on the screen. Now, if that's not Mick Jagger to a T, I'll go he. Mind you, Jill's a lot prettier. It's amazing. It's amazing. The stories are going to come. Jill left us February the 10th, just after her beloved Rob had poured her a Johnny Walker Red. Yes, it was 1:30 in the afternoon, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere. He heard Jill make a noise and he looked to his right. And she was gone. Now, I'm not going to get religious on you because it doesn't suit, but when I walked into the place, I'm going to get to that a bit later on, but looking out over the sea, over the ocean, it's heaven. Jill was a private person. She never swore, and she certainly didn't suffer fools gladly. That's good. She kept her opinions to herself, and Rob said she was a hard worker. She simply loved life. She loved adventure and taking risks. She lived her life to the full. It may have only been 74 years, but what a full life. Her favourite scotch though, Rob showed me, he showed me the bottle. Lafroy.
Lafroy.
Come on, you whiskey drinkers. Lafroy then. Single malt scotch for special occasions. And sometimes it doesn't need to be special either, Rob. She loved cooking. Her satay sauce, it was her own concoction, and everybody raved about it. Even the chef down at the Central, Neil, they liked it. But Sam, where are you, Sam? Are you here? You haven't got that secret recipe, have you? No, you might get it eventually. She loved gardening. And when she couldn't garden outside, she brought the garden inside. For those of you who have had the privilege of going into number 126, I know I felt when I walked along the jetty underneath the big weeping tree and got inside and I saw Jill's work. Rob's there too. But the softness, the comfort and Jill's presence in that area of the house, looking out at that beautiful view, and that's what I said before. She left Rob but she had her slice of heaven at number 126. And you know, from Wilston in London to 126 Maya Street in Lakes, Australia, we're so glad you chose us, Jill. We're so glad. Rob, come up and share that beautiful poem. Come on.
They look like a lot, but it's just double spaced and heavy, so I can read this. First of all, I just want to say thank you all so much for being here. Jill would have been overwhelmed. There are two terms that have become somewhat cliched today, but to Jill and I, they were so true. When Jill and I first locked eyes, something electric passed between us. It was love at first sight. It was an incredibly powerful moment. We were soulmates in every sense of that term. So I know I'm going to meet Jill in the next life. We were everything to each other and quarrels were rare and minor. We never tired of each other's company or ran out of things to talk about. She was me and I was her. An incredible woman stood by me through everything, good and bad. Not once did she complain about anything. She just loved me. This is my poor tribute to an amazing and wonderful woman who gave me her 110%. This is for Jill. Such love, so rare to find. A red-headed beauty with a sharp and crystal clear mind. So much passion, so much drive. On her strength and her love, I did thrive. A mother, a gardener, a cook of rare skill. She dealt with every challenge with calm, a smile, or that certain look. That was my Jill. My wonderful lover, my best mate. So artistic, so clever, so beautiful and skilled. To meet her was fate, but to see her again, I now must wait. Lover of life, so radiant, so free, strength and loves were your gifts, and you gave so willingly. You stood behind us, daughter, son and husband. Where now do we turn for that guiding hand? Gone now to the shadows where the good people go, never again to look in those soft brown eyes or hold you so. Taken so suddenly, I'm broken in my grief and my sorrow.
Well done, Rob. Please don't. Beautifully done, Rob. Jill's story, and I said we were going to have some stories from the 60s. Jill was born on the 29th of April 1948 in Wilston in London to Vera and James Corio. But it was interesting that it could have also been Corio. And with Jill's love of whiskey, maybe COR10, for those of you who know that. Sisters Jan, Mary and Jackie. And Jackie isn't well, so our thoughts are with her. If you're able to see this, Jackie, our thoughts are very much with you. Dad was a railway foreman. Mum was a cleaner, and there's long hours spent away from home. They were very much a working class family, because the first furniture was made by Jim out of packing cases. And a close friend of Vera's, Auntie Joan, helped raise the girls because of the distance and the hours that Jim and Vera were working. She went to secondary school at Kilburn School for Girls, which was a Jewish school, and she got a scholarship. The opportunity of a very good classic education, said Rob. But she'd wag on certain days and spent the time riding the Underground in London. Her first job was a comptometrist, which for those of us that don't know, including me, was a machine operator, pre-computer days. She was 16 or 17, we thought then. Jill's first car was a Mini, when they were brand new. Just image for a second. Jill in a mini skirt, with long boots, classic 60s attire, and a white Mini. And Marina, where are you? Marina, you said that your friend was just plain hip. Yes, just plain hip. She was very much into music, and she ran with a bohemian crowd, beatniks, and loved a bit of blues music, and spent all her wages going to see bands of the 60s. We can only dream. Except the Beatles, because she didn't like the Beatles. They were probably a bit soft. She was a Rolling Stones girl. Yes. Just happened that somehow the road manager for the Stones got to know this young lady. And he asked her out for dinner, of course, you know, a bright-eyed teenager, or getting close to the Stones. So she said yes, and they went out. They went out for dinner and then went back to Mick Jagger's flat. Sir Mick Jagger now, on Mick's bed. The roadie, the manager, was expecting some comeuppance for having taken her out to dinner. Well, we can see in that photo that Jill has got a beautiful set of fangs, and that roadie, he said, come on. And he would have, if he's still alive now, would still have a scar from Jill's teeth latching onto his shoulder. He called the taxi and sent her home. As a child, Jill entered a painting competition, very creative. And in that painting competition, there was two winners. There was Jill and another lady, and those paintings were hung in the Tate Gallery, that is a rather major art gallery in London. The other winner was a young lady by the name of Leslie Lawson. Twiggy. For those of you who know fashion from the 60s, the icon, who is still very much with us. But when the photos came in the paper, it just happened to be reversed, and for that photo in the paper, Jill was Twiggy and Twiggy was Jill. This amazing woman also made her own clothes. And her younger sister Mary was into bands as well, and would pinch Jill's clothes on occasion so she could be as cool as her and hip as her big sister. The girls, the sisters, were very close. As Jan got older, Jan became the mother figure. And Mary and Jill became carers to little Jackie when she was a little one. Jill married Paul Nichols in the UK on the 17th of February 1968. And they were living with Paul's parents. In 1969 they moved to Australia. Em, there is a story that you were conceived on the boat trip. They stayed at the migrant hostel in Chadstone, and then a flat in Elstonwick. And then you came along in 1970. Stephen, you're a 74 model. And they bought a house in Chadstone. Then they moved to Upway, and then to Monbulk, and they called it the Prickle Farm because it was covered in blackberries. Now Jill had a business cutting foliage for florists as well as being a mum at that time, and there was a number of chestnut trees on the farm, and those chestnuts were gathered and sold. A real farmer was this lady Jill. And in the middle of winter she was out repairing frozen pipes, and she had pigs and milking cows, It just so happened that Rob, who was a youth worker at the time, he had Emma on work experience, and Emma took Rob home to meet her mum, and Rob said this before, and I'm going to reinforce it. Rob said, as I walked into the house, I saw movement to my right. I saw Jill. Like being hit between the eyes with a lump of 42. They were both married to other people, and yes, they developed a relationship. And eventually both were divorced, and they moved in together. And Rob said it was so hard on the kids during that time, and their respective partners. It's something that Rob has regretted to this day. But it was a love that could not be denied. And this couple bought a house in Upway in 1987, a tiny little place. Rough, but like Rob said, it was ours. Jill and Paul had renovated a home twice before, so Jill was an experienced renovator, and this was number 3. We noted that Emma and Steve, you guys lived with Jill and Rob over the years. Now this little house with Jill and Rob, the labourers, the experts, the whatever needed to be done. They dug out the extension with extension foundations that had rocks and trees and all sorts of stuff in it. They committed, because they were both working full time, they committed to 10 barrows of rubbish each night after work. And Rob said that his lady was not afraid of any hard work. I mentioned that earlier. And the big rocks, the ones that neither of them could lift, were pulled out with the car, hooked onto the tow bar. They came out. They were hard times. On occasion, they struggled to buy bread and milk, but eventually that beautiful home was done, and they married on the 18th of April 1995 in that garden. As a married couple, 1 week later, they went to Emma's wedding. Jill went to work in childcare, Tulaski, a childcare centre. Now, Rob's not given to saying many words, is he? Anyway, he wanted me to tell you this story. Anyone that's interested in motorbikes or hot rods, particularly of an English nature, has heard of the Ace Cafe. Top spot in London for all the rev heads and motorbike heads to hang out. Even now, it's still going. There's a story, just for a touch of youthful excitement, was that there was a club called the Ton Up Club. You'd be sitting at a table in the Ace Cafe. You'd hit like in the little booths, you'd hit the records. Sorry, young people, records. Little round things. You couldn't move. Now we know that back in the 60s, records went for about 2.5 minutes max. You hit the play. You weren't allowed to move until the song started. You were out the door on the bike, and there was a specific circuit to complete, and you had to be back in your seat before the record was finished to be part of this club. Now, whether or not it was about 100 mile an hour, so that's a ton up. 100 mile an hour, not 160 k's, 100 mile an hour, through red lights. It's a wonder they weren't killed. But Jill was a member of the Ton Up Club as a pillion passenger. Crikey, Stephen. And remember, London's a fairly busy place. And Jill and Paul, they enjoyed hill climbs and motor racing. This lady to whom we paid tribute today loved speed. The Grand Prix. She made the observation that when you put the car around the track, if you got out and didn't exit the car shaking with fear, you hadn't pushed it hard enough. She went to night school to get level 3 with the childcare, but just before completion she hurt her back lifting a child, and she left and became manager at Upway Belgrave RSL, and Rob and Jill were both working together. She managed, well, not only Jill, but Jill and Rob managed to get a grant of $500,000 to renovate and upgrade that Belgrave Upway RSL. It's a magnificent effort. they rebuilt the place. And Jill joined Rob on various youth camps, and she was a great role model for the kids, Rob says. They did everything together. Then back to the UK for a trip in 1998. Em, you went back on your 18th birthday, and then again in 2010. In 2010, Rob got a decent Navy payout. So they tidied up the house in Upway. And they'd already bought number 126 Myer Street. They renovated that, and in 2011 moved to Lakes and both retired. Jill just loved it. Every single person gathered here today is testament to that. A slice of heaven, I've said that 2 or 3 times, but it is. It is. They bought a boat and did it up, the JP Corio, or Corio. I said it right earlier on, in amongst the Corio bit, Rob. I got a thumbs up for saying it right. They went out dining at the Central. That's where Neil says they developed a great relationship. Rob's sort of fairly major in the RSL firearms situation. What's the proper name, Rob?
State Branch Firearms.
State Branch Firearms Officer with the RSL. And on trips around the state, Jill came too. They were never apart. And I'm going to reinforce this one again because you said it. You never ever ran out of things to say. Jill had become less physically able over the past 4 or 5 years. In June last year, she fell and broke her leg. And in December last year, she developed a major clot. She threw off other clots, which threw off other clots. Now Jill didn't bounce back. She didn't bounce back. But, as was the strength of this lady, she had been reliant on walking aids, but she began to make noises about driving again. A little bit of energy coming back. And she was ready to throw away the wheelie walker. And I'm not going to say but I'm going to say and. On Friday the 10th of Feb, I asked Rob for a whiskey, a Johnny Walker Red, and that was at 1:30 p.m. I lost my best mate. We told each other we loved each other at least 10 times a day. We wish you peace, Jill. Time to stop talking for a bit, ladies and gentlemen. Photos, memories. There's going to be some ripper photos of this, I'm sure. Thank you, Cal.
Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. C'est payé, balayé, oublié. Je me fous du passé. Avec mes souvenirs, j'ai allumé le feu. Mes chagrins, mes plaisirs, je n'ai plus besoin de balayer les amours avec leur trémolo, balayer pour toujours. Je repars à zéro. Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. car ma vie, car mes joies, aujourd'hui, ça commence avec toi.
On the floating shipless oceans, I did all my best to smile to your singing eyes and fingers drew me laughing to your eyes, and you sang, said to me, let me unfold you. Here I am, waiting to hold you. Did I dream? You dreamed about me. Were you here when I was for sale? Now my foolish boat is leaning, broken love long and rock. For you sing, touch me not, come back tomorrow. Oh my heart shines from the sorrow. Well, I'm as puzzled as a newborn child. I'm as riddled as the tide. Should I stand with the breakers, or should I lie with death, my bride? Hear me sing, swim to me, let me unfold you. Here I am, waiting to hold you.
I love you the best, better than all the rest. I love you the best, better than all the rest that I meet in the summer Indian summer. That I meet in the summer, Indian summer. I love you the best, better than all the rest.
Just beautiful photos amongst that. When our time here is at an end, ladies and gentlemen, we'll farewell Jill. If you're able to, please head back to the Central for an afternoon of memories and enjoyment. Might even roll into the early evening. I'd say it's a fair chance. Now I want to invite Emma and Stephen, Jill's children, to come up and share, please.
G'day all, thanks for coming, greatly appreciated. Yeah, I put down a few words. Some of these things you've probably heard already, but Mum, right in this, I'm still in disbelief you're gone until today. It's hard to fathom, you've always been there, and I'll always miss you to the end of my days. I say these words for my life with you, but I know most people that met you feel the same as I do. Except maybe those Italian picnickers trying to steal your chestnuts. You made me and our world a better place with your love and caring and respect. And thank you for making me who I am today. You lived a life with a genuine heart to all those around you, polite and respectful. You tried to never burden anybody with your troubles, often keep it to yourself and putting others first. Mum, you lived your life your way, not shy to give most things a go. The variety of things you've done in your life says you lived it well. We've grown up in the 60s with rock and roll, the flares, the miniskirts, doing things like, and as you've heard, racing on the back of a motorbike trying to beat the song, playing on a jukebox at the diner, which can only be made by running at least one red light. And make it a big life-changing trip on the boat from England to start new in Australia to raise me and Emma. Trekking around the outback, running a farm, raising animals, even racing cars. She became a ladies champion and even a few times outright winner of the day, beating all the blokes. Little story, being an only club motorsport, I was lucky enough at the time to sort of jump in as a passenger with all the cars on the day, and I'd wait for them to start, jump in, go for a drive with them around an autocross track. I even survived a few car crashes, one of which my mum went down a bank into a tree, and when she opened her eyes up, I wasn't in the seat. She called my name up, And her heart started again when I popped down the front of the car saying something like, "Look at the damage you did." I think I gave my mum a few moments like that in her life.
Riding that bloody tricycle off the deck.
Yeah, that was another one. Then after meeting our second dad and your soulmate Rob, we were able to pour your heart into other endeavours in life, like road tripping with me and Rob to Gympie in the old WB Ford. Being a childcare teacher, which was with your creativeness and artistic talent, was so you. If only you didn't hurt your back, it was your calling. You've been helped turn the small RSL into a great gathering place to eat and drink. I'll never forget the day the restaurant opened, or when the leopard tank was delivered and put in place out the front of the RSL. You ever bought a boat with Rob and you get seasick? That's the sort of person you are. Mum had a beautiful, caring heart, and she was always there if needed, guiding and encouraging us along the way, supporting anything we chose to do, and always there to help me pick up the pieces when I really messed up or got into pickle. But that's just who Mum was. We'll miss you, Jill Patricia Ferguson. You are so we are so thankful and lucky to have you in our lives. Till the next time we meet, love you lots.
Well done, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I struggled writing this. I struggled finding words. So I just thought I'd talk about Mum. She was really creative. So she was lots of things, but the creativity just flew through everything from, you know, the art school, the Twiggy, short people. When we were kids, she was making dolls, clowns, turning dolls into clowns. And Stephen's car map that he loved, she made this massive sheet with drawn roads and cars and things, racetracks on it. He loved it, till Nan washed it. A few years later, there was Hobbytex. It was a bit of a craze in the 80s and nothing was safe. Tea towels, chair bags, t-shirts. It's like you were right under 10. Yeah, homemade crochet ponchos, macrame, you name it, she did it. The sewing, I remember one time she dreamt of a dress. In the morning she woke up, drew it, and then made it. Another time I remember she'd made these black pants with this lace panel, just snipping the threads before ready to go out. She cut the thing, so she quickly made a little lace rose and stuck that on the leg. Creativity, mentioned at Tulaski, the nighttime rendezvous she's dragged Rob down there for, changing the place into a jungle or an underwater world, so the kids would walk into some big surprise the next morning. Speaking of the jungle, walking outside the back door, it's pretty much the same. And the plants, she loved her gardening, she loved her indoor plants. Those that know, but Rob said if she had any more, he's going to have to mow the lounge room. And Nikki, wherever you are, you're partly responsible. Mum loved cooking. It wasn't just as much about the cooking, it was the ambience, it was the table settings, it was the decorations, it was the planning to cook. It wasn't just about the cooking. Back in the 70s, she had one of those first cookbooks editions where it's the weekly subscription to the Supercook. I think that's why Rob gets away with all his monthly subscriptions to things. But yeah, I don't know. Just recently I learnt that she'd subscribed to a site where she had uploaded all of her cookbooks so she could search by anything, any topic, any ingredient. I don't know, tang, whipped cream, fondues, master of the Scotch egg, MSG is a go-to app. Her dress flair was also creative. She just always looked stylish, even if she was cash. Today she's got on a new skirt and blouse that she got just a couple of weeks ago walking past one of the local surf shops. Mum never made a fuss. We've repeated this a couple of times today. Never raised her voice, and she never swore. She was a quiet mediator. I just got to say to Sam the other day, no such word as hate. It's one of Mum's favourites. She was reserved more than I realised. Never bitched about my dad, even though divorced. No doubt probably could have. I was Tuppence and Stephen was Tiger. It's only been a couple of weeks. I miss you so much. Yeah, I think I'm just going to sort of finish here. Yeah. It's funny, I've got the Beatles thing here as well. When it came to Stones versus Beatles, she was Stones all the way. Mum was always there. Teenage years, so many lifts. Good friend mentioned just the other day, not just me, but got all my friends home safely. And if their home was not safe, then they came back to mine. I think one of the best things that she's installed is love for them I have for my brother. And then there's Rob. I'm fucking lucky what she to have, Rob. To have a partner that just worshipped her, a true soul mate. Every day, from collecting the paper to sharing breakfast, plants, veggie garden, preserving, travelling, RSL audits, just admiring the birds on the balcony. I'm so glad you had fun in life, Mum. I'm so glad you were loved and adored. I'm glad you have kids who find strength in each other. Katie hasn't spoken today, but she said something the other day about how strong Mum was and encouraged everyone, particularly the girls. I know it's not a girl thing, but yeah, to be strong. So yeah, it's the best mum ever. That's it. Feels so final.
That was just beautiful, you two. Just beautiful. Now look, I know time's rolling on, but Jan, if you're out there on the streaming service, I don't know what the modern day term is, but if you're out there, I read this with pride for you. As small children, we lived in London, within sight and sound of Wembley Stadium. It was just after the war and housing was scarce. When our parents got married in 1945, they lived with my granddad, Mum's sister and her husband in a 3-bedroomed house. We had a bedroom for each family. As the families grew, Jill and I and then our sister Mary shared a bed, 5 adults, 5 girls, all in the one house. We had very little in the way of toys or possessions, but then neither did anybody else. There was still rationing for most things, but we never felt we were missing out. We had carts and swings that our dad made for us, and we had plenty of kids around us to play in the little close outside our house. We also had the local landfill site almost next door, where we used to go treasure hunting. It was where the bomb site clearance was put. We never found real treasure, of course, but sometimes we found enough scrap metal to get a couple of shillings for what we'd found at the scrapyard. riches indeed. We had holidays in a very basic caravan sometimes, but we used to have to travel in the guard's van with a bucket of sawdust because Jill was always travel sick. Sick on the boat as well. We couldn't get any distance at all. Bus journeys were usually made up of getting off the bus every couple of stops and waiting for the next one. She gradually got better, thank goodness, because we had to go to school by train. Bet not many people know that Jill once had a painting hanging in the National Art Gallery in London. We've got that one, Jan. She was one of the winners in a national art competition for children, won by what was then the Sunday Pictorial newspaper. When our granddad died, our aunt moved out, and Jill and I had the luxury of a bedroom for just us two, plotting and dreaming of our future. Even then, Jill had dreams of Australia. We had a book with photographs in of Christmas Day on the beach, and Jill decided that's what she'd have one day. I don't know if she ever did. Our aunt moved to Norfolk, and Jill and I got to spend school holidays with her. We loved it. Lots of space and fresh air. We used to work in the fields for a few shillings and spend the money at dances that we went to with our cousins. We never had such freedom. As teenagers, we used to spend what little money we could get on seeing the films, usually the musical ones. Rock Around the Clock and Elvis, etc., just like any other teenagers. Jan says that Jill finally did get her dream of Australia. I hope it was what she expected. I wish she'd been better at writing letters back. I might have shared some of those dreams again, even second-hand. Thank you, Jan, so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause for a moment, and because there are so many of us, we're going to keep this little personal farewell to just the family. Otherwise, we're going to be here until 8 o'clock, and the guys down at the Central will wonder where the heck we are. So to the tune, just plain cool, Whiter Shade of Pale by Procol Harum. We're going to come down with some rosemary for remembrance and some rose petals, and you can say your own quiet goodbye to this lady, you guys. Thank you, Cal. greatest songs ever recorded. It's time to say farewell to this beautiful lady. Thank you all, thank you all so much for being here. And I'm going to say partly our farewell to Jill's grandchildren. Do you know what? You can't go to school and learn how to be cool or hip. You can't earn $2 million each year and be cool. You can't buy cool, you can't pretend cool. Jill Ferguson, your nanny Jill is the coolest lady that you will ever know. Right, Em? Right, Rob? Stephen?
Absolutely.
Just born that way. These memories that we've shared today are just amazing memories. I just noticed that the level of the Johnny Walker Red's gone down a bit too. The memories that we have reinforced today are what must sustain us, what must keep us going. And they will. Rob's heartbroken, the entire family is heartbroken. That beautiful little slice of heaven is a quiet place. But as he said this afternoon, not at the minute because everyone's there. Thank you all so much for sharing in this tribute to Jill this afternoon. My final words are, you're probably going, oh, that's good. In the photos, you may have seen a little elephant, a hand-drawn elephant on the screen. Most of you may or may not know that that was part of Jill's creativity. It was a children's storybook. It's just magnificently illustrated by Jill and written by Jill. And in the very next frame, the very next photo, is Jill on the back end of a jackhammer. What a wondrous, wondrous woman we have had the privilege of being part of. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our time of committal. Let us now commit Jill's body for cremation, and in doing so we acknowledge that we come into this world with nothing and we depart with nothing. However, the wonder of our time on this earth is that we leave behind warm, enduring memories to mark our years and to sustain those left behind. For those of you who like Jill, may memories be your comfort, and for those of you who loved her, may you hold a sacred place in your hearts and a knowing smile on your lips. We wish you peace, beautiful lady. We wish you peace. And as we take Jill on her final journey, a little bit of Fleetwood Mac and Rhiannon. Thank you all so much, ladies and gentlemen. Make your way back to the Central and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. And you know what I mean by enjoy. Share memories. Thank you.
Sad bird flying, will be the
Maybe you did a marvellous service. Service.